because I couldn't be bothered to cut it out to hide it because I wanted to use the trailer for the stream. Speaking of the trailer, though, why don't we dive into the action? Let me make sure I've got the right one queued up. Yes, I do. And let's go and meet our very good society. Hello, and welcome to Encounter Roleplay. It is Saturday, not a day that we normally stream on, but today we are encountering, see what I did there? We are encountering Good Society. And I would like to go and say hello to our wonderful facilitator for today, Lauren. How are you doing, friend?
Hey, I am doing well. I have my tea. I am ready to sit back and drink this tea while y'all just make some good drama for me to watch. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. It's going to be a fun time, I think.
I think it is going to be a fun time. And as well as drinking tea, I'm sure we plan on spilling it. And who better to spill tea with than Gabe James Games? Hi, friend.
C'est un plaisir. Hello! I'm very excited to get into a delightful Good Society and introduce you all to this lovely little, oh no, story that we've definitely built together that can only end well.
Ending well, beginning well. I am well joined and well met by Shakespeare today. That way.
Oh, hello.
Right.
I'm so delighted to make all of your acquaintances. Oh, it's going to be so British up in here. I'm so excited to get to play in one of my favorite periods, atmospheres. I don't know. What do you call it? But it's just, I'm so excited. I've been listening to, Regency music all day just to prepare for this in my breaks on work.
I love it. And we will be embracing the harpsichord and all of the classics. But a new classic here on Encounter Roleplay. Welcome to Leandro. I don't believe we've had you before.
No, you haven't. But thanks very much for the invite. I'm quite nervous. I think this is my first time doing this sort of thing live. But Good Society is a game that's near and dear to my heart. It's probably the game I played the most the past year. Although my relationship to Good Society is inverse to my relationship with Austin, in that I've read one chapter of Austin, but I played a lot of Good Society, so hopefully that will balance things out. But thanks very much for having me.
It is a delight and a pleasure. And it is a truth universally acknowledged that past Charlie will now tell us all about our wonderful sponsors. Before we begin today's show, I would like to take some time to remind you about our sponsors. Fantasy Grounds, our virtual tabletop of choice. All of the beautiful maps and roles you see tonight are done using Fantasy Grounds, which you can try for free at fantasygrounds.com. You can also get all of your miniatures from Wayland Games. Go to waylandgames.co.uk and get yourself a huge range of D&D, Warhammer and 40k minis for up to 20% off regular retail price. And Tabletop Loot, who sell incredible dice. Go and check them out at tabletoploot.com. Hello, and we're back to Fast Charlie, and thank you to Lauren, who is now going to introduce us to Good Society.
Yes, so Good Society is a it is a role-playing game that is meant to create the kind of stories that you would read in a Jane Austen novel. Lots of class differences, lots of intrigue, lots of romance, lots of trying to marry the right people and maybe fall in love. So what is really interesting about this particular game is that even though we're talking about historical time periods and the things about history that we don't love so much, this game has kind of given us an opportunity to change it around. So one of the things that you talk about when you're setting up a game together, they have something called the collaboration phase, where you go over tone and what to expect, what you want to see and what you don't want to see. The other thing that we do is we discuss how we want to deal with the gender power balance in this world, because of course in the original Regency period it was extremely patriarchal. Good Society gives you some options to play with that standard patriarchy setting. It gives you options to just kind of turn gender power balance off and let kind of everybody make the first move, have significant careers, inherit entailed estates. But the other things that it lets you do is to explore what it would be like if the gender power balance was in reverse, which is what we are going to do today. So in this time, in this game, only women may have significant careers, make the first move, and inherit entailed estates. So it will be, I think, extremely interesting to see how this all turns out. Good Society is a diceless game. Instead, in order to change the story around, we have these things called resolve tokens. And I will just do a quick review of how that works for our players, because it's mostly new players. So all of your characters start with a certain number of resolve tokens. Charlie, you actually get one extra. I did not give that to you last time in character creation. And resolve tokens are what you use when you want to do something that changes the story in a significant way that would be unlikely or difficult for the character you control to do. This can be a variety of things, from I know this secret to... Did I fart? No, okay. I know the secret to there's a rainstorm suddenly and we all get wet at this picnic. The other thing that you can do with resolve tokens is that if you want to compel another character to do something or to feel something, or if you want to do something that will kind of be detrimental to their interests, what we do is we enter in a period of negotiation. So, for example, if Leandro and Gabe are having a private conversation about how, I don't know, how Leandro is in love with Shakes, and Shakes wants to overhear this, they would then offer that resolve token to Leandro to say, hey, is it all right if I overhear this conversation? Leandro can say yes and accept that resolve token. Leandro can say, yes, but only if you get caught and it's very embarrassing for you. And then Shakes can either agree or disagree. Or Leandro can say, no, I don't want you to know yet. So we're just not going to do that. And then the resolve token doesn't get traded and it doesn't happen. The other ways that you can use resolve tokens are with the reputation tags. If you want to make somebody's reputation have a chance in the story, or have a chance, like make a play in a story. For example, Charlie's character has the negative tag restless, and maybe we want, or reckless, sorry, and maybe we want to say that Charlie's character is passed over for an important opportunity in her career because her superior officers know that she's reckless. We would, instead of using our own reputation tag, use the tag reckless. That tag is now out of play. You can also do this with rumors. So if you want to make a rumor take part in the story, for example, making it true, having it affect what's happening, you can use that instead of a resolve token. The other token that we have in the game is called a monologue token. Because internal monologue was so important to the way a Jane Austen story was written, they have recreated this in the game. And how this works is that at any point in the game, if you want to know the internal monologue of another character, you can give them their monologue token. At that point, then they have to, we then find out what is going on in this character's head. So for example, if Charlie says, I want to know, Leandro, how you feel when you see Shakes walk into the room for the first, and it's the first time you've seen each other in years. Charlie would give them that monologue token, and then Leandro would break out into a monologue. This does not have to be a fully formed improvised monologue, because that's very overwhelming. It can also just kind of be like, well, I'm feeling this way because of this. We can imagine the dramatic monologue in our heads. So that's basically kind of how the story works, how the mechanics work, how we tell a story. The other thing that we have in these games are different phases. So the first phase we play is called a novel chapter. This is a kind of typical role play scene. Then we have a reputation phase. The reputation phase is where we examine what has happened in the previous phases and how that it affects the way society views us. Then we have something called the rumor and scandal phase, which is we create a bunch of rumors for each other, about what's happening. They don't have to be true. This is just kind of what people are saying. Then we have an epistolary phase, which is another very key part of Jane Austen society, or Jane Austen books, is that instead of going out and having conversations with people, people would often write letters to each other. So instead of playing scenes, we'll write letters, and then we kind of cycle through these phases. And I'll get a little bit more into the rules of each phase as we reach them, but we are going to start with the novel chapter unless anybody has questions about how the game works or something they want to do. Perfect. So I think the best thing to do before we start is I would like to go around starting with just in the order of this document. So starting with Leandro, then Charlie, then Gabe, then Shakes. And I would like you to introduce to the audience the character, the main character that you're playing, and also the connection that you're playing. Connections are important minor characters that have a lot of influence over the major characters, and everybody is playing at least one connection. So, Leandro, why don't you tell us about Joseph?
Yeah, Joseph York. He's he/him pronouns. He's 32 years of age. I'll just go through what I wrote down for him. He has sharp eyes, a lean face, dark brown hair, artfully arranged to always look the right kind of windswept. For he is a socialite, and it's important to look how he would like others to see him, I suppose. He starts from new money, but his temperament is, and I'm sorry I wrote this down, the kind of person that has a brooding pose, in that he Yeah. He calculates how he looks to quite a degree. He's someone who he's the second child in a family that's just new. It's new money, starting as a business, and he's had a past for sure. That's kind of made him cynical about the world, and so his desire is simply to just come into quite a bit of money because what else is good about the world? Romance. I've had that, and it's 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 taken too much from me, and now all I want is to take back. So that's Joseph anyway. In complete contrast to that, the connection I'm playing is a dear sweet boy by the name of Albert Vimes, Bertie to anyone who is his friend. In his early 20s, the oldest son of a baroness, living with another major character who we'll meet much later. He's a poor sweet boy, but who has called upon this major character's help to get an engagement, which has failed dramatically, and so he is in a bit of a state. He's tall and handsome, dear, darling, but devoid of wit. He's just I already feel I pity him already, but I'm going to be playing him, so it's just going to be a cycle of pity.
And I will be playing Major Annabelle Fallow, who has had a good career so far in the army, much to the disdain of her slightly more noble family. She was engaged once, and then the war happened. And things happen during a war to change someone's mind. And when she returned, she broke the engagement, but it also damaged her reputation and her relationship with a very good friend. There are other complications in Annabelle's life, which I'm sure we'll find out about soon. I will also be playing Caroline Griffin, who is a scion of fairly average family, who has lofty ambitions but has somewhat buried them just in the hopes of making a match. A sensible and solid match. And she has leveled her eyes upon Joseph York, a man of some substance. And so that is my connections character. And I think that's it. Both are she, her, and Gabe.
Bien sûr. All right, I am Gabe. I'm playing Veleno Chivor. He is a Frenchman, 22, he, him. He's a soft brown tone with smooth cheeks. Most features are relatively soft. When he speaks, his words are usually more calm and reserved until something gets a reaction. He likes to get a reaction out of people, and a lot of the personality for him is if a Disney prince was less obnoxious. That's a large inspiration for that. But as I said, he's a Frenchman, so he's come here looking for different things, opportunity. Well, I guess we'll find out. But my connection, and it was the connection that were correct.
Yeah, the connection that you're playing.
I am playing Rebecca, who's a niece. She's a English woman, but there's a lot more to Rebecca than you might think. Actually, this is gonna be interesting.
Oh, which brings us to me. Am I unmuted? I am. Good. I am Shakes, and I am playing Lady Ifis Hart, the Countess of Denby, one of the high and mighty peerage. Bow down, usurps. She is a true country peer, very tall, broad, muscled, and unafraid to make everyone get out of her way as she strides about the countryside, riding, hunting, fishing, and generally living whatever life she feels like, because, hey, she pretty much owns most of the country in the south. It's great. She's a very formidable person who enjoys her life and the pleasures that come with it, while kind of understanding that she has a responsibility to those below her, a responsibility she takes very seriously by trying to get everyone married. As a woman in her, mid-late 30s, she's 36, who has not deigned to marry herself, she is of course interested in getting everyone else she knows hitched, which comes with its problems, especially when they don't want to be hitched. Stupid people. She likes to throw parties. She likes to be generous with her wealth, as long as everyone, does what she tells them to. And the connection I'm playing, excuse my accent, is Laurent, who is a friend of Verno, who has already lived the dream and moved to England and married a lovely English woman and wants only the best for his friend, who is currently staying with him in the hopes of getting his own wondrous fortune. Oh, that accent's going to go all over the place. I can just feel it.
Wonderful. So these are some really I am so excited for y'all to meet these characters. They're just so great. And I think what we'll do is we'll start with a series of visitation scenes. These are kind of usually 10-15 minutes each, between at least two characters. They don't just have to be major characters, they can be with connections as well. And we can kind of get some snapshots into their lives and what's going on. So is there any scene that we really want to see? Go ahead. I have a few that I think would be really interesting. But do any of y'all have some ideas? While you think about it, the scene that I want to see is when Velino and Annabelle meet in England, perhaps for the first time. We can decide that, but I would like to see a scene between the two of you.
So, Lauren, did we decide if we were playing in a city like Bath or London, or if we're playing out in the countryside?
No, that's a good idea. Let's. What do you think would make sense?
I think I'd like to play out in the countryside because it kind of forces us to seek out each other's houses, but we also have those wonderful traveling expanses where all sorts of shenanigans can happen.
Yes. All right. So in that case, it would be a lot harder for the two of you to meet. So how does this happen? Velino, did you go to call on Annabelle, or the other way around? Did you meet in the village somewhere? Was this planned? This kind of...
I'd absolutely go to her.
Oh,
Absolutely.
How forward of you, Velino.
When you see a woman of power, if you wait, she will disappear.
All right. So this takes place at the Fallow Estate. What does that look like, Charlie?
So the Fallow Estate is not so grand as a stately manor. In this instance, there is a Fallow Manor, but it's not here. It's with the rest of her family. This is more of I suppose, nearly somewhere between a large cottage and but it's modeled on like a manor house. So it has the opulence, but it's not quite got the sprawling, expansive size to it. There is a formal garden in the front with a large fountain, and most notably a white peacock that struts around shrieking at everyone the way that peacocks tend to do. Exactly. And in the back of the house is a more functional garden, more like an allotment or a herb garden. And I like to think this is kind of taking place in in late spring when it's beginning to get a bit warmer, and you can kind of just smell the greenery of this place. And I think Annabelle would probably actually be outside, perhaps even tending to the garden with the two servants that she kind of has in place here, the gardener and one of the house servants. It's more directing than actual physical labor in this case. But I think it's the time of year when you get your house and your affairs in order, because it's the beginning of that social season.
Yeah, so I think a servant kind of comes with Velino in tow and says, Major Fallow, you have a guest here.
Was not aware that I expected anyone. She pulls off her kind of gardening gloves and tucks them into her arm and turns to see who the guest is. And I think she kind of stops and like straightens all the way up. It's that full military posture of,
Bonjour.
I had not expected you, sir.
I am very unexpected, often. I thought it was part of my charm.
And her eyes kind of dart backwards and forwards, looking for witnesses. Why don't you step inside? She holds out a hand towards the house.
I'd be honored, thank you. And I'll do like a soft bend and make my way over.
Was it a tiring journey?
It was, but it was worth it. Qu'est-ce que c'est? What is it? Why you look concerned? Wait.
Veleno, when I wrote that I would like to see you again, I was not under the impression that it might be so soon.
Did you not want it to be so soon?
You've taken a risk coming here.
Considering how we met, we're both very used to risks.
And what does your family say?
And he kind of just like pauses for a moment. Was I wrong to come?
Annabelle, I imagine, has led you towards kind of a day room which has large bookcases and the sun's coming in from the front of the house. And she turns her back and walks to a large bay window looking out and down the drive, across the field, across the valley, towards the large manor house up on the hill. Perhaps. And her tone is a little cold.
Well, then I don't want to be right. I'd rather be wrong. I have a place where I can be safe. I wanted to be close to you. The longer I waited, the higher likelihood that I could be forgotten.
And
I
kind of
do not blame you.
There's a brief journey of emotion on Annabelle's face. There's kind of sympathy and joy, and then fear, and then that kind of cold sternness returns. Who is it that you lodge with, Veleno?
It is a friend of mine, Laurent. He has been here, he has found someone already, and he promised to help me to do the same.
The Lady Cecile's husband. As Annabelle kind of puts together who Laurent is, fairly well versed with the scandal of this Frenchman marrying the lady.
Oui. And it was a problem, but they have made it work. It is possible.
We should talk more when I've...
And he takes a step forward.
What is it, Bellano?
Are you happy that I'm here?
And she pauses and takes a deep breath and meets his eyes and goes to answer. And there's a sound of something out in the hallway. Maybe a maid kind of just tidying up something, and her head kind of twitches in that direction. And then back to him. And under her breath, she says, "Yes. But this is not the place. You can't be here right now. It's not as easy as just arriving and wishing it so."
And his smile kind of drops, and then it's a blank expression. You're right. Woman of your stature and power does not gain all of this through foolish action. And then he bows, and louder than common conversation. Yes, I appreciate the understanding you have been giving me of English culture, madame. And he'll walk out and leave.
And Annabelle raises a hand to kind of reach for him, but lets him go.
Oh boy, all right.
And then broods in the bay window for the next half an hour or so.
Yeah. So
Naturally.
we leave the brooding Annabelle. Joseph, do you have an idea for a scene?
Oh, I should have been thinking of that. I had a vague idea, but I was just to lighten the mood, I was hoping to throw to Lady Ifis first.
Oh yes, we can
Always
lighten the
a
mood with
mood.
Lady Ifis. I would actually love to see a scene with Lady Ifis and Birdie.
My baby.
What does Lady Ifis's estate look like? Where does the Countess of Denby live?
The Countess of Denby actually resided in a manor house which has since been destroyed called Newham Paddocks. I urge you to Google it. It was stunning. But basically, Pemberley, but with bigger grounds, was basically the thing. It is a huge, stately home with, lakes for fishing and forestry for hunting. It's a sprawling estate that is a hub of social activity in the middle of Warwickshire. And it is, at any point, she has dozens of guests because she has room and she has money. Why not? It's the Regency version of Party Central. Bertie has his wing, obviously, out of the way.
I think Bertie is probably clattering around out of the wing, trying to find Lady Ifis. Where would he find her?
If it's morning, she is likely hungover and kind of sitting in one of the staterooms, making her way very slowly through a large breakfast, while occasionally asking the servants to just a little quieter, please. Just tiny mice tip-tapping away. Please, just shush. All the while planning what tonight's revelry is going to be, because it's non-stop. I mean, Come on, why have this many ballrooms if you're not going to throw balls?
Fair enough, fair enough.
But at the moment, she's like sipping tea and eating bread and honey and just kind of, you know, her shoes are kicked off under the table and she's just like, everyone just stop existing for a moment. Thank you.
Yeah, I think there's probably a moment where like you probably close your eyes to like try to like let the food do its work, and when you open your eyes, Bertie's kind of like seated 2 seats away from your right. Over the past couple of weeks, he's been getting closer and closer, and he's not saying anything. He's just kind of looking at you expectantly. He's got some beans and toast and some. I don't know if they had beans and toast back then. Sorry, probably not toast. Just a light breakfast because he wasn't partying. He was just stuck in his wing, I suppose. But he's just looking at you kind of like expectantly. He's afraid to say the first word.
And there's just a long pause. She closes her eyes again before saying, "Is there something you wanted, Bertie, darling?"
Well, since you asked, Lady Hart, I just thought that it's been enough time since my last attempt at an engagement, and I was wondering what's in store for myself.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's such a subject for such an early morning, but since you insist, well, prospects being what they are, I mean, there's the Countess of Pembroke has a rather lovely daughter, and there's just like a side eye kind of, she has rather high hopes for her daughter. Let's see. There have been some rather lovely ladies coming up out of the industrial sector, but I don't really have much connection there. Workwomen. I don't really understand the whole thing. I mean, why work when you can just pay people to? Are you not happy, darling? I mean, I am doing my best, but
Oh no, I appreciate all what you've done, Lady Hart. You're honestly you're far too magnanimous, but that is just your character.
Darling, private rooms, you may call me Lady Ifis, and it's Lady Denby in public. But carry on, yes.
He lets out a very big sigh, and
she's just like there, like, how many times have we gone over this? But it's just like indulgent.
I appreciate all you've done, Lady Ifis. It's just the last engagement. It did feel right. It did feel the best, and now I'm just wondering if Lady Ifis, is there much fault in me? Do you think?
No, darling boy, don't be silly. There's no fault in you for that. That was entirely someone else's fault. But that ship has rather sailed, quite literally. There's no fault in you, dear boy. I will do my best. I know several ladies at court who would be happy of a kind to have you introduced to their daughters. I will do better, dear boy. I will. Are you finding the accommodations are wonderful? I've bought you some more horses. Have you met them?
I believe I've met one of them. Yes, they were responsible for my meeting with a certain pile of manure. But I assume that's just how it makes friends. You wouldn't have a horse so impolite.
Maybe piano playing. Have you ever tried the pianoforte? I mean, even you can't be injured playing the pianoforte.
I found that I'm not at the stage in my playing the piano where the music is delicate to my ears. But I will get there soon. I hope. I assume so.
Do have some more bread and butter, Bertie. You're looking very thin. And she just kind of sits back and just sips her tea like, I'm so hungover. Eat, darling.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What a good, yeah, I think that's a good place to end that scene off. So we gotta meet Joseph. Perhaps maybe a scene where Caroline comes to call.
What I would like to propose is it's one of those Sunday afternoons where everyone's kind of coming back from church or, you know, from that sort of an event. And Caroline has kind of persuaded her escort to detour past where Joseph lives on the hope that she can catch him on his return as well. And it's one of those, we'll just keep going round until he shows up, all right? Just a couple more times. We'll figure it out. But she sat there the whole time very prim and proper. And, like, she's not hunting for Joseph York. Where is he? How can you get lost on the way back from the church? It's a straight road.
Yeah, I think Joseph is. Yeah, I think the carriage seems fairly prominent, but like, I think Joseph has spent like the past week trying to dodge, and there has to be a point where you have to like face the no, not the firing squad. No, it's not like that, but yeah, just face the fireworks, so to speak. And I think he was with his family, but I think because he definitely lives with his family. How can't he? Even though he's like 32 years old, he's not married. You know, nearly got married, but that's another story. But yeah, I think he sees the carriage and it's just okay. I think definitely whoever's your driver will see. I don't know. Has Carolyn kind of probably told your driver to like be on the lookout?
Oh yes.
He's not hard to notice. He stands out because he likes to stand. He tries to stand out. He's a socialite. That's what he does. It is like a lot of black and gold is what he's wearing. Even to church. It's a bit decadent, but he sees the driver and he kind of like just sighs and like just knocks on the carriage door.
Window cranks down. It's a little bit janky because, you know, mechanisms aren't so great, but it comes down. Mr. York, it is a surprise. Not a surprise.
My dear Lady Griffin, it is a surprise. I did not expect to see you out here in the middle of the road, where one usually hangs, I suppose.
It's a pleasant day, and I decided to take my time.
Well,
a perfect coincidence for yourself, of course.
Yes, quite. It's quite amazing how the stars seem to have aligned for this meeting. Anyway, I doubt you'd want to have a conversation as unexpected as this on the road.
So nice of you to offer, Mr. York. I would be delighted. The door is already opening.
Yeah, he's climbing in. He knows what's up. Would you care to have a cup of tea at our house? It's quite near. Since you're already in the area, so to speak, it would be rude of me to not offer.
Most charming of you to offer, Mr. York. A wonderful idea. I wish that I had thought of it myself. And she taps and the driver starts off. Now tell me, Mr. York, what have you planned for this week?
Well, I have a few meetings I must attend, a few engagements, so to speak. I've heard that the Countess of Denby is throwing, well, as is her wont, another innumerable gala of hers, and I had happened to receive an invitation, and I thought to, well, At least I'm meant to show my face in those parties every now and then. Eh, Clearly
Very
quite busy.
wise, Mr. York. Would not do to upset the Countess. Although, after what happened last season, you should be very careful around her. Don't want to end
My
up
dear-
like poor Bertie now, do we?
Poor Bertie's a cautionary tale for us to all keep close to our hearts. But do not worry, Lady Griffin. I believe I know the Countess well enough to be wary of her wiles.
Of course, you are most sensible, Mr. York. A very admirable quality.
I would say the same of your persistence, Lady Griffin. I do believe it has only been a few months, and yet we might as well be bosom friends, given how much I've seen you.
It is my hope that you might accept an offer for more than friendship, Mr. York. She taps and the driver slows down to a much more leisurely pace. Still moving, but not stopped.
Charlie, I have a resolve token for you.
Okay.
This is absolutely not the first time that you have proposed to Joseph York.
It's the first time this week.
All right, you can go ahead and you can go ahead and take that resolve token.
Okay, thank you. Is that for
and
Caroline?
it's Caroline's resolve token, yes.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I think Joseph probably has like his pre-prepared sort of like a response, but I actually want to pay my own resolve token to Velano actually to have heard of, because we didn't say this on the stream, but we determined in session 0 that Velano and Joseph are rivals, and it's entirely on Joseph's side because he sees a younger him in Velano, and he doesn't like that. But I want to pay Velano a resolve token for Joseph to have heard of his visit to the Major, because it wasn't exactly subtle. So, yeah, take that token if you don't mind, Gabe. Cool. So I think Joseph kind of like opens his mouth to like say the usual, but then he closes and just kind of has a think. He has a mini brood looking out in the carriage, and he says, if I were to say that my acquiescence to this offer comes with a price, would you be willing to pay?
What is it you seek, Mr. York?
Like most people, I seek satisfaction. Of late, I've had little of that.
Oh.
There is the matter of a young, upstanding citizen of France who's come over to the continent and has dealt me a slight.
Well, that's the French for you, isn't it, Mr. York? How did you become entangled with such a scoundrel?
It was Joseph leans kind of forward. His eyes are like kind of alight, and he's like, it was happenstance. It was chance, but it was public. It was a friendly duel of sorts, and yet he, with his, it was bravado on his part. He dealt me a blow for all the world to see.
How unbecoming, I did not know. Caroline leans back. She'd leant in for the story, but she now leans back and turns her attention to her own window. Playing as if she doesn't care. Definitely gives a shit.
Yes, and I do believe that for your interests, you would not take me on to your marriage without at least one less blemish on my mark. I would have this blemish removed by imparting all the blemish on the world on this poor Frenchman.
I'm not sure what reputation you perceive me to have. I'm not a meddler, nor am I a dirtier of others' reputations. But of course, Mr. York, I do not doubt your innocence. Your poor respectability tarnished by such a person. I might not promise to so outright do as you propose, but I shall certainly look into this individual. Seems most unfortunate an acquaintance. And so close to home.
I would not ask anything concrete of you at the moment, Lady Griffin. Merely your support would be enough. He is one who needs to learn what I believe both of us have learned. And I think he'll also lean back and also start rooting away from from yourself into the window. It's a mirror image, honestly.
My dear Mr. York, if I may be so bold and frank, I assure you I will protect you in these matters.
I think he
And it
nods.
will remain my sincerest hope that you will accept my offer. Would be a most sensible match.
I've made as many calculations as I've dared to, Lady Griffin, and it is quite sensible. Once the price is paid, then perhaps we shall make it. We'll make it so.
Before summer's end.
If our dear Mr. Shiver stands ruined by summer's end, then yes.
I shall write to your parents, Mr. York.
Oh boy. I think that's a good place to end that. Wow. So much has happened already.
Lady Griffin got game.
I'm like trying to play him as every terrible man in an Austin movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's just wonderful.
Oh, Lady Griffin. Yeah, is
She
there
said
anything... Is there any other scenes that we want to see at this point, or should we move on to the reputation phase?
I'd like to add a small scene following on from Veleno's in which we see Major Annabelle has written invitations for a social event, and I would like to see Lady Iphas's feelings on it when I imagine in the same instant she will receive word that Annabelle's niece Rebecca has also arrived in the county. And so it's kind of one of those moments when Lady Iphas is receiving a lot of very interesting information.
Do you want this to be a scene or a monologue token?
Ooh, can I give monologue token thing, please?
Yeah.
If Shakes agrees.
I agree. I mean, who am I going to? Am I going to turn down a monologue? No. Theatre kid. I would say it is probably after breakfast. Hangover has dissipated a little, and Lady Iphis has turned herself to her correspondences and is sitting at one of those beautiful dark wood desks with all of her papers and is going through correspondences, letters from relatives, interesting bits of gossip that people, maybe hand her. And she comes across, the information that Rebecca is now in society, and it doesn't really ping. It's just like, okay, well, you know, it's not her fault. Maybe extend the poor girl an invitation. I mean, it's not like her family's going to get her anywhere. You know, that kind of slight glee, vindictive glee, but she kind of sets it aside and we'll deal with it later. And then she stops looking at this letter because she recognizes the hand. Of course she recognizes the hand. And she kind of toys with it for a bit before opening it. Almost vindictively with like one of those little letter openers, just like... And she'll sit and read it and seethe. And she'll read it again. And what she's feeling underneath the incandescent rage of Annabelle having the sheer gall to invite her anywhere. She who gives out the invitations and is welcome anywhere because she's a peerage. She can walk into your house if she wants. There's that flame of old hurt because the betrayal still stings, and she does view it as a betrayal. It was a deep betrayal, which she is still suffering for. And she sits and reads the letter again and will quietly fold it up and actually give it to her maid to put in the fire because she doesn't need to do it herself. She has people for that. And she'll sit and seethe, and then she'll pick up the letter which indicates Rebecca is back in society and read that. And there is a war in her whether she will allow that pain to influence what is quite a weighty decisions, because for all her parties and her flightiness and her throwing everything to the wind because she can, she's absolutely secure. She's very aware of the weight of her decisions, and when she makes a decision, how other people follow, and how she can, with a sentence, ruin people or make them. And we'll just quietly fold the Rebecca news again and put it to one side and dismiss the maid. And then she'll sit before turning to her next piece of business.
Well, that was a lot. Here for it. That's wonderful. All right. So the next thing that we do after we do a novel chapter is we are going to go in what is called the reputation phase. So for this, you'll need to look at your family background sheets. That's in that and on the family background sheet, there is a list of reputation criteria. And if you did any of these things to gain a positive or negative tag, let us know. You can gain both a positive and a negative tag at the same time. And Leandro, do you know if they can gain, like if they did 2 positive things, do they get 2 tags, or is it just 1 tag?
I think it's just 1 tag.
Yeah, I think so. I'll double check while you're looking it over. I just couldn't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, if anybody thinks that they did something to earn some reputation.
I think Annabelle maybe did. I think it's kind of borderline, but one of hers is make a sacrifice or deny your own desires to preserve the dignity of yourself or others in an unbecoming situation.
I think you absolutely did that with the scene with Velino. Is that what you were thinking?
Yeah.
So what do you think a good tag for something like that is? Maybe something like proper or reserved.
I think reserved is a good one. I think I already have the tag cold.
Well, this is a positive tag, right? So cold isn't necessarily
Right.
something we think
Let
in a positive light.
me see. What about honorable?
Oh, that one's very good. Because you didn't like throw him out, so it would have been seen as just like this flighty Frenchman came and didn't quite understand.
She was trying to act to protect both of them, seeing that Villano would be in a hugely vulnerable position here, and trying to figure out a way that they can do this properly and not face the same things. As much as she would like to just accept him, move him in, and get on with her life, that is definitely not how it works. But she didn't want to be too cruel in telling him that. Or the other tag that works that's on the suggestion list is forthright. I think she was very honest, rather than just being, I'm not going to tell you why this can't be. I think she told him fairly directly a plan, to an extent, of we're going to do this properly or we're not going to do it at all.
Yeah.
So forthright?
Yeah, so go ahead and take forthright. That sounds good. Velino, do you think you earned some tags?
I feel like I earned one, but I also feel like I also lost one.
Okay.
The one I was thinking is positive is acted in the service of duty or morality in a way that compromised your desires, because he definitely just wanted to be there and made it work. But if in any way it will harm her standing or make her look less or make her look weaker, he can't. But he did act in a way, but he acted on desire in a way that compromised like morality initially. So his initial action was foolish, but the way that he acted in the end was the positive. So that's why I think it was positive and negative. So it's probably
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can get both. So I think foolish is a good negative tag for what you did.
Yeah.
You use the word right there, and it works very well. And then I don't know. It's so weird to be like the positive tag of like you
reasonable.
didn't do what you wanted, and that was good. Yeah, reasonable is good. Also sad, but good.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. What about Leandro or Shakes?
I thought I got a positive and a negative, which shockingly enough was the same ones that Bello got, because I think that Ifis acted in the service of duty or morality in a way that compromised her desires, because dear God, she wants Bertie to just go away sometimes. Please stop bothering me. Your parents already like put you in my house. Just let me have breakfast. But she's very aware of her duty to him, because she's the reason he's kind of, not hot on prospects right now. Well, she and one other. So, and as well with her decision to kind of her decision to not destroy Rebecca outright because of petty vindictiveness. She has a sense of noblesse oblige, and the idea that she is responsible for people just because she is fortunate and privileged. She's aware that she can't just obey her whims all the time. But also she definitely acted on a desire in a way that compromised her duty and morality, because you don't just burn invitations. It's not good form. It's especially not like so your servant sees you, because it is definitely going to get out that happened. And that's her very deliberately using gossip to make sure that everyone knows that Lady Ifis Heart burnt this invitation from this person to this thing. So if you go to it, she might not be happy. So she's very much she's very vindictive when she wants to be.
Yeah, I think vindictive is a great negative tag for you. And what do you think? What do you think your positive tag is for being?
I really want to be extra and just say noble oblige, but it's probably responsible.
Oh, I was going to say maybe
See, it's a spell.
magnanimous.
No, I don't think it's that. I think it's like she feels deeply that she is responsible for people, even though like they have their own lives. They're not her servants or her tenants, but she feels responsible because she has power and they don't have the same.
Okay, yeah. That's very good.
The rank and file.
And Leandro.
Yeah, I think I got both as well, a positive and a negative. On one hand, he did go into the carriage and did kind of sort of accept Lady Griffin's
Yeah, you just like went into the carriage of a woman's you just went into a woman's carriage. That's pretty.
Yeah, I was invited.
Unchaperoned.
Unchaperoned though.
Look, my family understands. They've known of Lady Griffin. It's fine. But yeah. So the positive is finally like acquiescing, I suppose, to Lady Griffin. The negative is plotting with her, I guess. I don't know how that would get out. Well, the driver's there. They'd probably hear things. But I think definitely the fact that like he got into the carriage, but the wedding isn't official yet. The engagement isn't official. Something's weird and up about that. The specific criteria I was looking at is for the new money one, which is acted in an uncouth, low-class, or vulgar manner. It's a bit uncouth to be so vindictive and plan the ruination of essentially he's a boy you just met.
Especially out loud and so direct to the point, I want this person ruined.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like playing around it. It was like, I will end this person.
Yeah. Just like this person who's like literally 10 years younger than you. You're just like, I'm going to destroy
you're a jerk.
their lives.
Just gonna ruin this young boy.
I'm already looking for love, and you're just like, you suck. I know.
I mean, I feel like vindictive works for you too, but I feel
it's
like
less. It's more petty. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's true. Petty.
Yeah, no, petty sounds good. Yeah,
Petty old man.
At least, at least
Petty
with
is an excellent
Annabelle.
word.
Yeah, at least with Annabelle and Ife, it's an actual like break there. This is like this is just so bitter. And the positive one is, I guess, sensible, because you're not gonna do better, Joseph. You're just not. You had that thing with the Countess years ago, but that's gone. That's done. I'll put sensible, if that's all right.
Yeah. All right. So that is our reputation phase. We did not trigger any conditions, but maybe our next reputation phase, because we have quite a few tags now. And just as a reminder that you can use these tags like reputation tokens in what if we want to make any of these tags have significance to the story. We're going to take a quick break just to kind of like get up, drink some water, get some more tea if we so wish. But we are going to come back with a rumor and scandal phase. So while you're on break, you can think about some interesting rumors that we might want to put in our world.
And right before we cut to that break, I will say, if we can get one more retweet, I will personally buy someone in this chat a copy of the PDF for Good Society, because we love this game, and I want to make sure that someone in this chat gets the chance to play it. So if you can, hit that retweet button, and we will see you after the break. Hello, and welcome back. We have stretched, we've had tea, we've spilt some tea. We are ready to go. I'm giving away a copy of the Good Society PDF right now in chat, ! Loot if you want to enter for that. And I hand back over to you, Lauren.
Wonderful. All right. So we are back. We did a reputation phase. People mostly kind of did both good and bad things in the eyes of society. And now we are going to go to the rumor and scandal phase. So players, on your online play document, you can tab over to the rumor and scandal page. And everybody has a chance has 2 turns to either create a new rumor or spread an existing rumor. And these spread rumors have narrative power like resolve tokens. So yeah, does anybody have an idea for a good rumor? Go for it, Gabe.
Joseph is actually intimidated by the young upstart Frenchman.
Is it a rumor if it's true? I'm going to spread that so we can use it.
Yeah.
All right. I think that'll be interesting, partially because it brings more attention to Veleno, which could be good or bad.
I was going to suggest a rumor that Veleno had come here seeking to marry an English woman. But there's speculation about whom exactly it is. And it's one of those almost, from one side, it's one of those, it could be your daughter kind of rumors. Beware the Frenchman. And from the other side, it's,
it's coming for your daughters.
Oh no, that's amazing. I love that.
And I 100% think there is a rumor that the Countess of Denby has it in for Annabelle, which is 100% truthful.
Oh, absolutely. There is a rumor that Lady Denby will be most displeased if anyone accepts such an invitation from such a woman.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to create a rumor that says essentially that Joseph is considering accepting Caroline's proposal, because I think if this is not the first time she has proposed, then we are definitely, then people have definitely been talking about that. Or not Caroline.
And so we can create a rumor or spread a rumor.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's a good idea to spread some rumors because then you can use them in the game. Non-spread rumors, which are fading rumors, have one more round, and if they aren't spread by the next rumor and scandal phase, then they don't have then they are no longer in play. Fading rumors can still like be mentioned, but they just don't have the same kind of mechanical weight and narrative power.
I think the rumor about Annabelle's rejection of Bertie is becoming stronger. People are questioning more why she acted that way, especially with the arrival of Annabelle's niece. They wonder what exactly is going on in that family.
So we can't like kind of up a rumor after it's already been spread, but that's like a good kind of narrative note to have, and maybe that's something that can be come into play in our upcoming epistolary phase if you would like to use it.
Not sure what the rumor would be precisely, but I think there's definitely talk, given that Lady Denby continuously sends invitations to her soirees to Mr. York. Whether she is trying to marry him off to someone or simply like favors him for some reason, I don't know. I think there's just idle speculation about why she keeps inviting him and why he doesn't accept.
So like the rumor would be like, what the speculation is like, yeah, why is she like putting this much attention on someone on
Especially
this
since you're so old, Joseph York. Much past your prime. Really, you should settle down and have a sensible match.
Yeah, I mean, past 30, practically dead, right?
Practically in the grave.
For a man, anyway.
Of course. There's no refinement in men after a certain age.
Oh, no. They simply get
Lauren, you're muted if you're talking to us.
I was just going to say that maybe it's like Lady Denby is very interested in Joseph's future.
Has taken an interest.
Lady Denby adopting all the undesirables in the county.
Oh, poor Bertie.
So
Poor stupid boy.
That was so harsh. I'm really sorry.
So who has done both their turns, just so we can be sure? So created a.
I've done both mine.
Gone twice. You've done yours. Gabe, have you?
I made one rumor, and it's you can do 2 total. It's not 2 of each, right?
Yeah, 2 total, because there's a lot of spread rumors right now, so I just want to make sure.
You know what? I'm just gonna use my tweet of the one. I'm gonna spread the rumor that I've come to marry an Englishwoman. I want to see how this drama goes. It's not gonna be great, but I'm invested.
All right, and Charlie, have you gone?
My rumor was about the Frenchman, Bellino.
Just because there's more, there's a lot of spread rumors, so I just want to make sure that, because spreading a rumor counts as a turn.
Yeah. I misclicked my bread. I've taken it off.
Oh, okay, wonderful.
I've taken them off. I created 2, and I clicked when I shouldn't have clicked. It's all good now.
Okay.
Yeah. So with do I have to spread one?
You don't have to. You can just create another one if you like. I was confused because there were so many spread rumors. So.
Okay. I would like to create the rumor that there is someone important coming to the area, and there's speculation about who it is. Someone has whispered it's one of the king's favorites is coming from London. It's someone important, but no one has the same answer about whom it is.
Oh, I really like that. I'm gonna spread that.
Increase the tensions and the interest. Just to kind of push it outwards from the core of just us. It's like there's someone else coming, and no one knows why or whom exactly. Everyone has an answer.
Right, I'm gonna spread that
That
rumor.
would be my segment.
And Leandro, have you?
I have
Oh,
one
no, I
more.
assume
Yeah, I think I'm gonna spread one of these because I just like it if all the major characters have at least one spread rumor, so we can just like use that against each other. So, but which flavor of Lady Denby should we spread? Let's see. Just because, yeah, I think I'll spread the most displeased one. Just so people can like, well, people can use it to not incur her wrath. Maybe incur her wrath. I don't know.
All right. In that case, the kind of spread rumors are. Sorry, Charlie. Did you? So somebody important is coming.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't put on the sheet. Yeah. Congratulations
No,
to Hippie
that's all
Killer,
right.
who's won our giveaway. I will do another one if we hit 50 retweets, or we'll do another one next week.
All right. Oh, sorry, I've turned that. All right, so the spread rumors that we have in play: Annabelle cruelly broke her engagement in public after returning from the war. Joseph is intimidated by the upstart young Frenchman. The Frenchman, Velino, has come to marry an Englishwoman. Joseph is likely to accept Caroline's proposal this time. Lady Denby will be most displeased if anyone accepts Major Fallow's invitation. And someone important, one of the king's favorites, is coming to town. And we have one fading rumor that Lady Denby is very interested in Joseph's future. The next phase that we have is the Epistolary Phase. In this phase, everybody, can write, each player can write 2 letters to each other. This can be from your major character, or it can be from the connection you play, about what's going on. So we can spend some time thinking about what letters to write.
I've been composing my letters in my head. I've been looking forward to this phase. Anyone who knows me knows I love writing little character stories and also writing letters. So I've been composing in my head. But my question would be, do we put these into text form and send them discreetly, or would it be like our
no, you're just gonna kind of recite them out loud like you're writing a letter.
Him. Dear Lady Iphis, Countess of Denby, I, your most humble of friends, Caroline Griffin, write to request your assistance in a matter dear to my heart. I have sought, more often than I care to admit, the hand of Joseph York in marriage. But there have been stumbling blocks in our agreement. And I wish to make it clear to you my most honourable of intentions, and incite you, if I may be so bold, to help me with them. I have often admired you and your most worthy judgment in such matters. Kindest of regards, Lady Caroline Griffin. Or, is she a lady? I forget if she's actually got a title or not. If not, she does now.
So she does, yeah.
And then there's another letter from Annabelle to Velino. My dearest Velino, I apologize that my welcoming of you was not warmer. I fear that we will face a more trying battlefield here in the county than the one we faced when we first met. But please know, I think of you often, and it is only with the highest of regards. And then there's a line that has been very carefully crossed out and like redacted. I hope to manufacture an instance where we might meet. And it is my greatest of ambitions that this meeting shall be the beginning of our acquaintance. I hope you enjoyed the spring flowers. And then it's Major Annabelle Fallow. And pressed into the letter is a flower from the garden.
Oh, wow. Love letters already. I love it. I have a letter from Laurent's wife to Velino. Actually, no, it's not to. Yeah, no, it's to Velino, and it's says, "Dear Velino, Laurent has disclosed to me your reasons for visiting, and while I am sympathetic and hope for the very best in your situation. I request that you use discretion while you are a guest of our household. Laurent's position in society is very precarious right now, and I ask that you do nothing to make it worse for my husband. If you would like to discuss the finer points of British society with me, I am welcome to, or I am happy to instruct you further. Caroline."
That's good. Okay.
Lady Ifis will set out a letter included with an invitation to Rebecca. Very kind of, "My dearest Miss Rebecca, you must grace us with your presence at one of my balls. It has been so long since I've had the opportunity to see you. I imagine you grow more graceful with every passing day." You know, lots of frippery and flattery and no mention whatsoever of her family, and kind of subtly indicating that this will help upward mobility. Just a quick note next to a rather garish invitation on very nice paper.
I would like to write a letter to Joseph. And it says, "Dear Joseph, vieux blecho," which means old badger in French. How goes it? I hope your leg is all right after that nasty fall you took. I haven't seen you in a while. I'd hope we would continue it, but I'm concerned we'll have to wait much longer for you to recover. I want it to be fair for you, or at least as fair as you can be. Looking forward to it, your friend. And what was it? At the bottom, it says Renaud, Renard, which is fox in French.
What a cad.
And that's 1 point, Froggy.
Damn. Gosh.
Très bien, Bella, très bien.
C'est la vie, c'est la merde.
Funny though, I was gonna write a letter from Joseph to the Lady Ifis, actually. I just need to like redraft it up in my head because my would-be suitor got ahead of me. But that's fine. To the Countess of Denby, my dear Lady Ifis, or I'm sorry, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to call you that these days. I'm quite foggy as to which side of the breakup was worse than the other, but nevertheless, I've heard some scuttlebutt that for some damnable reason, you still have a passing interest on my woes. I do hope they remain passing, because as far as I remembered, when we last spoke, I made it quite clear whatever interest you had in mine should be rendered null at this point. I had hoped for the sake of what we once had that you would respect that wish, but society seems to deem otherwise. If there is another conversation we should have, then we should have that in person. If you could dare to pause your gallivanting every now and then, I would be available at your convenience. Yours always, Joseph York.
Oh, there's going to be a lot of back. Oh, yes. Just need to formulate it. The paper would be almost torn with the pressure of the nib against the paper. Mr. York, I have no intention, scuttlebutt or otherwise, to renew any offers or acquaintanceship with your good self. My interest, well meant, was simply to provide you with that I could not. My invitations, ignored, have only been to serve your own good self and good prospects. I assure you, since you find them so disquieting, they will discontinue. I wish you the best, what little I have to offer, and hope that you will find in the world some better grace as you have firmly fallen out of mine. And it just says, Lady Ifis Hart, Countess of Denby. Don't piss off the peerage, people.
I'd actually like to write a letter back to Annabelle if I could. Dear Annabelle, I understand my intrusion was very unbecoming. You are truly a lady of standard, and that will be met as it deserves. I adore the flower. Please help to continue to teach me the proper ways of respect, the English ways. And you could see that there was like, it wasn't a consistent writing. There was probably a pause before writing the English ways because it's like not properly centered. War is a terrible thing, and I have relied on you far too long to be the one to not get through. passion is good for work, but has no place in politics. The flower is beautiful, and its beauty is only rivaled by the sunset. And I like the first time that they had an intimate moment in the past was during a sunset. Thank you always, Velino.
I think that's a resolve token you have to offer to Annabelle.
That's fine. Doing it.
Annabelle, do you accept?
Yes! I mean,
Yes, 1,000 times yes. Oh my.
sorry, back in character. Right? Have to. Oh,
I have one more letter from. This is to. This is gonna be so bad. Feel free to reject this, but this is to Major Annabelle Fallow from his lordship. No, he's the son of a baron, a baroness.
It would be the Honourable Albert.
the
Vines.
honorable Albert Vines.
Yep.
Yeah. To Major Annabelle Fallow. I know it must seem improper for me to write to you a letter given how our last meeting ended, but I fear that my heart would not be settled by such a meeting. There is simply far too many questions yet swirling in my head, and I must have them answered. The dear Lady Iphis, and then Iphis is crossed out and says, "The dear Lady of Denby would say that there are other matches to be made, but given how she has put all this time and effort into arranging this one, there must be something worth salvaging there. So I would beg for your audience, my Major Fallow, if not to resume courtship, then to at least oh, sorry, I dropped something. Oh, sorry, that's my bad. I got nervous there. If not, at least
This is so in character for Bertie. I love it.
there is some spilled ink.
he's there like tapping his pen and he accidentally flings it across the room and has to go and get it.
Yeah. There's definitely a blotch of ink in the letter itself, for sure. And it blotches out what he was about to say, but he doesn't bother rewriting it. He just continues the letter. It's like, oh, okay, fine. That's my lot in life. And just says, I hope to at least make an acquaintance of yourself soon. Yours is Honorable Albert Vimes. Yeah.
I love my Bertie.
This poor boy.
This poor boy.
Yes. Oh, poor Birdie. Charlie, you have one more letter, yes? Or have you?
I did
written
both of mine. I did one for Lady Iphis from Caroline
right,
and
and
one
Caroline's
to
letter.
Velino.
Yes, wonderful. All right. In that case, we are moving on to the next novel phase. I think this is going to be what's called an event chapter. So unlike a visitation chapter, which is a bunch of small scenes in different places across different times, this is going to be one event where everybody is involved. This is usually something like a ball, a picnic, a hunt, something along those lines. We've had 2 balls mentioned in play. One is, or events mentioned in play. One is something that Annabelle has been organizing, and one that the Countess has been organizing. So my question to all of you is, considering these both of these events and how we know that Lady Ifis feels about Annabelle's event, what do we think is more interesting? Do we have it at Lady Ifis's and Annabelle shows up uninvited, or do we have it at Major Fallows and have Lady Ifis show up?
So I have a proposition. I believe, with Lady Ifis's opinion well known in the county, that Annabelle would have received a lot of "I'm terribly sorry, unfortunately, blah blah blah" kind of notes, and like it hadn't been like publicly cancelled, but the general knowledge is Annabelle's plan would not be going ahead. And I think it would be more interesting if we all were at Lady Ifis's, and maybe Annabelle will arrive there too.
Yeah, because Joseph has been invited. Caroline would have been invited. Lady Cecil? What was her name? Lawrence.
Caroline.
Cecile. Laurent's wife would have been invited, and she can bring the boys, because that's how society works. You bring people and they get introduced. Rebecca would have been invited. Pretty much everyone apart from Lady Annabelle would have been invited. Even Bertie gets to come to the ball. He's allowed out of his room because I'm trying to marry him off.
And I mean, I would imagine that Rebecca may have mentioned it to Annabelle that she had this invitation, but that's kind of how Annabelle's going to end up going, I think, is with Rebecca, either along with Rebecca's wishes or against them.
Well, why don't we ask Rebecca what she thinks?
What is like? Do you two really have a good relationship? Would you say?
I imagine it's they tolerate each other because they're related, but they don't really understand each other kind of relationship.
Oh yeah, we didn't fill out what Rebecca thinks of Major Annabelle. So
because
she's a little bit of a prude.
Well, that's the
I think that's the
default
syntax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't. I think I put it in her general description on there. But the idea is she's been sent by her family. She has her own ambitions and kind of thinks that Major Fallow has been very foolish in her behaviors and is kind of there to.
So like is foolish and needs reform.
Far too into her military stuff. Should be doing what a good heir would be doing, kind of thing. And if she's not going to do it, then Rebecca will, kind of.
How old is Rebecca?
I think she's younger. I thought I'd fill it in, but I must have missed it. I don't know. We'll say like early 20s. Like
okay,
very
that makes
early
sense.
20s.
I mean, I suppose, but if Annabelle, if you embarrass me,
I've never been an embarrassment in my life, Rebecca.
and I would hope that record will stay, Auntie. This is important. I want my life to be quiet and successful, and I know that not everyone appreciates your charm, Auntie.
I promise you, Rebecca, my intentions are not to cause a scene. And if anything, I seek to make amends with the offended party. There is no ill intention. And should the lady request my leaving, then I shall do so. But the lady may request it to my face.
Then I want to favor in the future.
A favor, Rebecca?
I have goals. And you have much to give.
I think there's a resolve token that needs to be given here. I'm not sure from whom to whom, but
I will give Rebecca a resolve token, as I am persuading her to do this, and then she can use that resolve token as the favor.
as
I
the
guess.
favor, yeah.
I think that makes
I like it.
mechanical sense.
Fine.
Very well.
Let's go.
What should one
All
wear,
right.
Rebecca?
Yeah.
Clothing, Auntie.
Lady Ifis, tell us about this party you're throwing.
It is a beautiful, splendid, garish event. It's one of those things where not necessarily I have invited everyone, but everyone has come along. It's very much like my own little version of St. James's Court. There is lots of food set out. There are beautiful lights. There are musicians everywhere. It spills out onto the lawn, and there are lots of really, really annoyed servants holding candelabras everywhere. I pay them, it's fine. And of course, all the carriages draw up, and there's lots of toing and froing. Inside, it's actually rather a stuffy affair because that's a lot of people pressed into one room, and everyone's wearing their best muslin. It's so beautiful. And in the middle of it all, Lady Ifis is just holding court and going around and introducing herself to everyone, even though they all already know who she is, and she expects them to. So it's very much a kind of almost a game she's playing. Like, she introduces herself just to hear people say, well, we know who you are, because that's the fun of it. And she inquires after people and, you know, keeps up on her gossip and basically makes the rounds while drinking a lot of punch. Because punch. She is also followed everywhere by corgis, because corgis. I like corgis.
All right, so who entered, who do we see first if this was, you know, a movie?
Probably Bertie sat in the corner being ignored by everyone.
Yeah, he's sitting on a couch. He's got a drink in his hand, and he's kind of like, you know, one hand with a drink, the other hand on his lap, just kind of like tapping. He looks expectant, but I think as the night will go on, that expectancy will fade, replaced by something else.
I think Caroline Griffin would be fairly punctual. Not one to play games of fashionably late or making a dramatic entrance. It's more important that she is there and that she does speak to the Lady Ifis. She kind of greets friends. Hello, yes. Hello, great to see you. Yes, wonderful. Yeah, yes.
There would definitely be a quiet word about, really, him? Okay, if you insist. Kind of, you know, darcying about it all.
Countess of Denby.
Miss Griffith, I'm so glad you could come. It's always a pleasure to see you, and you're looking so well. Country air agrees with you, my dear.
Yes, and country air filled with candlelight. Most delightful. Very grand.
Yes, I shall have to give them all extra shilling for this, but it is just so pretty, don't you think? My own little bit of heaven. And beeswax, obviously. Now,
A little
and
personal twinkle.
the very best kind. And she'll kind of usher Caroline into, like, you know, one of the little not rooms, but like little alcoves that ballrooms have. I received your letter. My dear, are you entirely certain of the course of action you've chosen? I mean, I don't want to be blunt, but you're a woman of means, and you could do rather better in your choice of life partner.
I'm afraid that is where fear plays its part, my lady. I fear I cannot do better. And it is a most sensible match.
Yes, his family has well, it is a rising star. That, if you're certain, my dear, then of course I shall do everything I can to facilitate the match.
I have no want to do better. It's a fickle game that people play. And they end up rather tragic, do they not? Like that pitiful Frenchman wandering around.
Oh,
Have you
yes, I
heard?
did. A tame Frenchman. I'm rather hoping that Lady Cecilia will bring them, you know. I've not
Oh,
met
I've heard
a
he's
Frenchman.
far from tame.
Even better. But no, one must have one's little excitements before settling down. If one ever does, of course. But have you met my Bertie? No?
I've not had the pleasure.
Oh, I must introduce you. I mean, you're a very intelligent woman, so I won't do more than that, but I must introduce you.
I understand there are many things we must do.
Indeed. But of course, until then, there is dancing and a good deal of drink, a merry tune, and many, many merry partners. I have invited your friend, so have no fear. Not in my house.
Most generous. Thank you.
As ever. And she'll kind of just, you know, take your hand and then sweep off.
Leander, did you want to interject?
No, I think I did want to add that, like, we probably won't see Caroline having to interact with Bertie, like, as fun as that would be. But
No.
I kind of want to add this could probably be a token, but like when after Lady Ifis has kind of introduced Caroline and Bertie together, when she kind of like turns around at the big like room where everyone is, there's a spot where Joseph always kind of like is, because whenever Lady Ivy throws a lot of parties, and there's a spot where Joseph kind of like stands back when they were together, that kind of indicates that he wants to talk to her, and I think she sees him there when she turns around. Is that okay?
Yep. She will very much kind of stop and look at him, lift her chin, and spend the next good half hour going around and talking to everybody else before she deigns to pass his way, and kind of stops and looks down at him because she's a tall woman.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. York, so glad you could accept my little invitation for a gallivant.
I didn't realize Lady Ives would be taller. No, because she would be. She would be. Joseph has been standing there this whole half hour, so his attempt to look intimidating is faded from his. Is faded as much as his leg strength has faded as well. So he just says like, "Well, Lady Denby, I felt that it would be rude to at least let one invitation go unanswered."
And of course, you are never rude, sir.
Only on paper, my dear lady. I must say, it's been some time since I've been here, and yet your events have not dulled in that time since.
I shall take that as a compliment.
Please, I intended it to be, so please do take it as a compliment. He says as he's looking down at his feet.
And she is very much enjoying this. She's very much kind of like just reeling in the awkwardness and the, yes, now that we're face to face, you can't do that again. Just kind of, you know, she's nasty with her rank sometimes. Just kind of stood there watching you squirm.
Fair enough. He was very rude to her. I don't suppose, well, you're still up to your old, well, I wouldn't call them tricks, that seems quite rude, but to your own ways.
My life is as it ever was, exactly how I wish it to be. You can only imagine I wish others such happiness in their own way.
Do you find happiness in that?
I
If you
find
don't mind.
happiness in many things, sir. Not least the happiness of others.
Then, would you mind if I ask if you would find happiness in myself, finding my own?
Regardless of our prior entanglements, sir, it would give me nothing but the greatest pleasure to see you happy and to have a hand in your happiness. I do like my games, after all.
Oh, I know all too well. Surely you must have some game cooking at the moment.
Oh, so many. And she kind of like nudges him into, again, like, you know, like slightly behind a pillar or into an alcove. You have never been anything but blunt with me, Mr. York. It was refreshing at one time and is now. Dear, if you have a question or a request, do make it, and I will answer. I forgive your earlier rudeness. We all have our off days. And you have been under some pressure, I understand. You haven't been keeping up your swordsmanship, sir, from what I hear.
I suppose the entire country and half the continent has heard of my travails.
Indeed, and I was most displeased. After all, I taught you most of the swordsmanship you know. How does that reflect on me as a teacher?
Well, I hope to take on most of the blame. After all, it is not on the teacher, but on the pupil who misuses their teachings.
And of
Is it not?
course, as ever, chance. We leave a great deal up to it. We should respect it now and again.
I would very much like to retake most of what I have from chance, but chance has a different opinion. My matter actually concerns this. Well, the other half of my duel, so to speak.
Ah, the Frenchman. Now I am intrigued.
Well, certainly you've heard that he's come to seek the hand of an English woman in our environs.
And why should he not? I imagine they're all far superior to what he has at home.
Well, I was hoping that you would help guide him, if you're not too busy with your games.
Well, that would depend entirely on who he is and what I'm guiding him towards. I do not like to make an unhappy match, as I'm sure you remember.
Please, in my defense, for me, happiness is a calculation. I simply calculated at the time.
Yes. Maths
not-
leaves a great to be desired.
It's my attempt to fight back against chance. I wouldn't want to wish ill will on this, Mr. Cheveux. I simply want to ensure that he finds a match suitable to him. I'm sure you have a dizzying array of many fine matches you'd be making for him.
Mr. York, you have me at a bit of a disadvantage. I rather thought, given the scuttlebutt, as you so recently put it, I would imagine you had no interest at all in that gentleman's continued fortunes.
Hmm.
Do you wish to see him happy or simply out of the way?
I would like him to. Well, since you put it so bluntly, yes, I would like to see him off in his little corner. Just.
I have not heard that he had any designs on anyone. Is there someone in particular you wish safeguarded from the Frenchman?
Trying to figure out how Joseph would know him. I don't think Joseph has any connection with Major Fallow, no. So let's see. I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this. Well, I wouldn't want to second guess what designs you could have for him. I merely want him to be as happy as I was at my time, at his age. And you know very well what I was like.
Yes, I quite recall. And she kind of like takes a slight step back from him. Just oddly quiet for such an exuberant lady. If, my dear Mr. York, you wish him happy, then I shall see it done. Once I've been introduced to the fellow and got an inkling of his character, but I see no harm in obliging you.
Can I give a
We all
resolve
deserve
token?
to be happy, do we not?
Can I, Gabe?
Oh, yeah, Gabe.
I'd like to give a resolve token to walk in at that moment.
Ooh, who's gonna get that?
And can I give it to Joseph specifically so that he sees me over her shoulder? Walk in.
Probably round her. She's very tall.
Yes.
Like she's a big woman.
Yep, just around, and then walking in with like Laurent on my left and Cecile in front of us, leading the way.
Yeah, I think Joseph will see that, and his face drops for a second, which I think only Lady Iphis would note because she knows him well enough.
Yeah.
And it's like, and he's like, well, Lady Iphis, seems you'll get your chance sooner than you expected.
She looks around.
Yeah.
Oh.
What is it?
Look at a dashing figure. And she kind of turns back to Joseph. To the best of my ability, dear sir. Now, I was wondering if you could seek out Lady Griffin for me. I was meaning to speak with her, but I can't seem to find her among the crowds. Would you be so kind as to source her out for me?
To the best of my ability, Lady Iphis. And I think he'll do kind of like a bow because she's still peerage. I don't know. He'll do like a bow. Oh.
Would like to offer Joseph a resolve token for a monologue about his feelings in this moment as he leaves Lady Iphis and Veleno and heads towards Caroline.
So you have already given your resolve token to Shakes. So
Yeah, there's a specific
only
monologue
one.
token. You can only do
Yeah.
it once.
Oh, right.
There's a one monologue token. But if we are interested in that monologue, then perhaps Shakes or
Can I? Yeah. Take it. Take the monologue token. Don't be like monologue.
Okay.
I'm just all about the monologues. I need to know.
Yes, monologues.
Okay. I think okay. As Joseph, I think he gives Velano a curt nod as he like escapes.
A wink.
Okay. That's gonna, oh God. As he kind of goes back to the throng to look for Caroline, he thinks, am I so cruel to think so lowly of my dear Lady Iphis that I could imagine her botching this? Then again, given what I know of her track record, which is, after all, my experience with her, there's a chance. After all, look what happened to that poor, dear Albert Vimes. I'm sure she'll do her best. She always has, but best doesn't always come close to what's best. Still, I envy her ability to stay in the moment, I suppose. She seems quite able to just move on. How I wish I could say the same for myself. And I think at the end of this monologue, Joseph kind of like could see Carolyn probably dying as Albert Vimes is telling her all about Major Fallow. And it's, I don't know if she's gonna get a word in. But yeah, that's my monologue.
So good. So good. I want to kind of zoom in on Velino and his. Is this your first English ball, Velino?
Yep. Definitely is.
So what do you think? How you dressed? Give us everything.
I was probably given an extra pair of Laurent's clothing, and so it doesn't fit perfectly right. It's probably a little baggier. Laurent is fairly fit, but has also been living a more comfortable life and probably doesn't exercise as much as he should, so that his clothing is a little bigger than Velino is used to. And he probably feels stuffy. Everything here seems gaudy. There's so many scents in the air, and none of them are necessarily bad, but none of them are very good either. And everyone, the way everyone is looking at each other, they're looking at each other like they're all pieces of food instead of like proper people. And it's so uncomforting. And I see Joseph, and I just start smiling and like laughing a little bit to myself. And it's going to be a really dumb choice, but at some point I'll probably like look at Joseph and like rub my ankle a little bit. And I'll probably get a bunch of weird looks and like probably like a nudge from Laurent and just try to play it off. But at that point, it's probably staying as close to Laurent and Cecile as possible, because there are definitely looks coming my way, and I don't know what to do with it. And if I do it how I think is the proper way to deal with it, it'll make more trouble for everyone. Actually, so Shakes, do you mind assisting in a little bit of conversation since you're Laurent?
Oh yes, absolutely. Have we got a Lady Cecile? I don't know.
I can be Lady Cecile, yeah.
Yeah. Laurent is kind of walks in on Lady Cecile's arm because she's the one who's invited and everyone else is kind of like with her. But he's keeping an eye on Velino, just kind of making sure he's there, and kind of occasionally will just lean in and tell him, now this is where they walk in, and they walk in order. It's to do with rank, and there's dancing, but they're very slow and boring. Just kind of like quietly running commentary.
I love dancing. And I'm like looking around to see if Annabelle's around.
They have some lively music, but the dancing is provincial, slow, and they stay very far away from each other.
What? You don't touch?
Hands, but mainly is the stepping. My dear
I looked
wife
at
has shown
Cecile.
me, but I am not a dancer.
I looked at Cecile. Do you like this?
It is very good for conversation.
So no, not really.
I
I don't understand.
The food is c'est magnifique.
Huh? Lead the way.
And Laurent like almost takes a step and then looks at his wife and kind of waits for her to do it, kind of like following her lead.
yeah, she'll I think she kind of like looks on Laurent like very dotingly, like as rude as she was to, or not rude, as like strict as she was with Velino, like she up and married a Frenchman, like
I'm a toy boy. Woo!
My eyes get
Trophy
real big
husband.
at the realization too. Like,
yeah.
lead the way.
Yeah, and she says, like puts her hand on his and says, "Of course, dear, this way," and kind of leads over to the food. My question is Annabelle, when do you come in? How do you come in? And what happens after?
I think she and Rebecca arrive later into the evening as Annabelle wants to avoid the formal announced introductions as much as possible. She allows Rebecca to lead into the room, kind of discreetly wall hugging almost, scanning at the space, trying to avoid Iphis to begin with, getting a scope for who is here, and I think hopefully looking for Veleno, although she knows she won't be able to approach him immediately. But as she hits that kind of central room, she has to move on, and she does have to look for Lady Iphis, whom I don't think she's spotted yet. She's very busy taking in everyone who is here, and I think there's a slight paranoia almost as she perceives that there is whispering of the scandal of her abandonment of Bertie, which was possibly the last time she was here. So it's almost one of those flashback moments to the last ball.
There is definitely whispering, because every time Lady Iphis introduces Bertie to a hopeful suitor, it comes with the tale of woe, which paints you as the worst kind of cad imaginable. Like, she basically presents Bertie and goes, have you met my ward, Bertie? He was cruelly jilted by a bitch.
And then
Not in
I
those
imagine
words.
then
Not in those
Annabelle
words.
makes polite introduction to neighbors and things, and it's very stiff and cold, and she kind of straightens her back and just, stiff military upper lip, get through tonight, remember your mission kind of stance washes over her.
I have a resolve token for you, Charlie, that you are spotted at some point when Bertie is unaccompanied by Lady Iphis.
Okay.
Can I add to that? But like, there's a moment where maybe while Velno's being like taught dancing by Laurent's wife, or just being shown around, there's a moment where like Annabelle and Velma's eyes kind of like meet, and there's like just like moment where you know how it is when the room just kind of like fades, and it's just the two of you, and then from your right you hear, "Oh, Major Fallow, I'm I'm so glad to make your acquaintance once more." I think you probably feel like champagne, kind of like a drop of champagne fall on your boots because Bertie's had a few.
Annabelle politely kind of curtsies, half bows in polite greeting to Bertie. Good evening.
Yes, it has been a good evening, Major. I hope you found the evening quite well, Lady Ifis. Lady Demi. Lady Ifis. Does throw quite a party.
It is a very beautiful evening.
That is some stiff upper lip action.
Tell me, Albert, have you been asked to dance this evening?
Well, I've met several lovely and engaging people tonight, but I think the realization crosses his face. It's like, wait, none of them asked me to dance. It's just like,
And Annabelle's hand, she's in military dress uniform, and her hand goes out in white glove to offer it to you as, without words, she invites you to dance.
I think, he'll definitely take it. Well, he'll put down the champagne first, and then take it. And I kind of want to spend my monologue token on Major Annabelle, if that's all right with you, Charlie.
Oh, okay.
If you want to do it now, but like I was thinking, as this dance is as they kind of dance, and her and Velano come close, I do kind of like want to know, like, what does she like desperately wish she could do right now?
I think as she dances, she would imagine on occasion that it was Veleno she was dancing with. But she remembers too the letter that Bertie had sent her and knows how poorly she behaved in her rejection of him, of her abandonment of him. And she feels pity for Bertie, that he is so hopeless and naive. And I think she wishes that she could have tolerated that life, because she would like Bertie to be happy. But even as she feels pity and guilt, she feels more and more resolved that it was the right thing to do for Bertie. And as they kind of move around each other and she passes Veleno again, she wonders what the right thing to do for Veleno is. As she had become so aware coming into this room how despised and possibly how terrible a person she really is. And she wonders if that is good enough, if she can become good enough, or if she should save Veleno from what she did to Bertie. And she keeps the dance very proper with Bertie, polite. She doesn't do it in a way to be cold and brush him off, but it's a very formal step. There are no kind of cheeky maneuvers. The smile is only ever polite. And the conversation is kept light. The weather and everybody's health and so on.
I have one more resolve token for you, Charlie. I'm sorry to pile on you so much, but I think this is one of these dances that where you kind of like switch back and forth between different dance partners. And so I think you kind of come to find yourself in a situation where you keep running into, you're dancing with Bertie, but you keep kind of running into Velano as the figures change.
And I think as they meet for the third or fourth time and she's hitting the end of that thought cycle, as Velano turns and they should join, Annabelle will step back into the crowd and away from the dancing, making a polite thank you for the dance to Bertie. As she doesn't want to get stuck into dancing with Velano again, she needs to go and think. So I don't know if that's to would I have to spend a resolve to be able to kind of step away? So it's that moment where Velano turns and she's just gone, just disappeared.
No, I think that can be a condition of your accepting that
Okay.
she just kind of like runs away.
That's upsetting.
That's part of the problem of Secret Fiancé.
She's a complicated woman.
Some secret
So
that you want.
I think we should kind of wrap up this ball. So if there's any kind of last scenes that people want to do, speak now or forever hold your peace.
Would like to offer a resolve token then to Lady Iphis that Annabelle and she find themselves together and in a relatively quiet room by accident. It's not a manufactured situation. They just happen to be and they kind of come face to face and they have to have a conversation.
Oh. You can almost
Is that
like
okay with you?
Yep, that's perfectly fine with me. Like Lady Denby is probably like trying to find a specific servant to do a thing. Like we've run out of jellied ham. I don't know where it went. I don't know. Just kind of looking for a specific servant and walks into a room that I
imagine you walk into the room as Annabelle was about to walk out. So it's literally you were stuck on this threshold, either side of it.
And you just see like she straightens up to her full height and looks down at you. And there is shock there, but it is controlled in a way that like Lady Iphis has been controlling everything about herself since she was an infant. It's what the lords and ladies do. So you see that shock, like a little burst, and then it's gone, and her face is just in neutral disdain, just looking at you like, and she waits for you to speak first.
Countess Denby. And Annabelle will formally bow, kind of lower than she needs to.
Miss Fallow, I do not recall extending you an invitation.
I'm here with my niece, to whom you were so kind to extend an invitation.
Ah, yes, Miss Rebecca. I have high hopes for that one. But then again, high hopes are so easily dashed.
They are, but not without proper cause.
And what is proper cause? One hopes it has more weight to it than improper cause, or should that be the cause of impropriety?
Would you prefer the infliction of misery?
I would prefer honesty from those
Then I shall give you my honest word. Though you not call me friend anymore, I fear. Albert would never have been happy. And nor would I. There are few things I can afford. But to save another's happiness is something I would risk a great deal for.
And are you happy, Miss Fallow?
May you find great pleasure to hear I am not.
It gives me no pleasure at all. Does it give you pleasure to know that the Honourable Mr. Vimes is also unhappy?
It troubles me deeply.
One imagines you must be, given the great trouble you went to cause such an occasion.
You see machinations in my action only because you are so maniacal yourself.
I see
Your machinations are strong and powerful. And I have every faith that you could find a match for Albert that will bring him happiness.
I
That is
thought
your
I
gift.
had.
And that is my fault.
Yes.
I don't deny it is my fault. I had thought before I left that it was the right thing to do. But upon my return, I had greater wisdom, greater insight.
And at great cost.
What is it that I can do to make amends?
Were it so easy, this should have been over long ago.
It should have.
But the fact is, it is very hard to make amends when there is something of a large body of water between you and the one you have affronted. Not to
There's
mention a
no
great
such
deal of
body
French
now.
fun, I understand. No, here you stand.
You
in my
insult
drawing
me.
room without invitation. I insult you. You forget yourself, young lady. You are
forget
in my
yourself,
home.
Countess.
I forget nothing. And there is nothing that you have that I want. So why, without invitation, without cause, have you infiltrated my home? I can't imagine
Infiltrate.
Miss Rebecca to be at fault for this. Poor sweet girl. She and your family have been caused a great deal of grief by your need to be so distant from your friends.
Was not a need, it was the call of my country.
Ah, and your country has no one else that can serve her. No one else who is unfettered with promises not kept.
I made a vow to this country.
You made a vow to Bertie. You made a promise to him, and you broke such a promise. And you come
I made
into
a
my
promise
house
to put
and
his
do
happiness
not
above my
interrupt me,
own.
girl. You made a promise to Bertie, and you come into my home and claim that I have insulted you.
Is not what you seek to do with every word that slips from your tongue in this moment, Countess.
What I seek with every word that slips from my tongue, girl, is to know why you are here when you are clearly not invited or wanted.
I sought my friend. Clearly I am mistaken. No such woman lives in this house.
You lost the bonds of friendship when you set foot on that ship.
You are craven
You
and miserable and have turned your
me.
back on all that are caring for you.
Oh,
seek
yes,
to
and you
manipulate
show
and
your
control
care in
because
a
you have the happiness
fascinating
in your
way.
own being.
I seek to engender the happiness of those I care about. If you had spoken to me before you thoughtlessly broke off your engagement to Bertie, then we would have made amends. If you had spoken to me of your feelings, but you did not. You accepted a commission, you broke a promise. I may seem like a controlling old fiend to you, I am sure. But everything I do because I feel responsible for those that I care for. I do my best, Miss Fallow, with what God has given me. It may not have been enough for you or Bertie, But do not dare to say that it is my fault in that. You broke a promise, not I. You left the country, not I. You have spoiled poor Bertie's prospect for ever having a decent match, not I! And you dare to come into my house and claim I have insulted you. Thoughtless girl.
Take my apology or not.
Have you
Suppose I
no
am damned either way.
You are damned by your own insolence and your own inability to accept those you have wronged. How dare you come here without invitation, when I have made it perfectly clear that I am not willing to see you yet.
Shall take my leave then, madam.
Do so.
But Ifis, you call me girl one more time to my face and we shall have a graver quarrel still. Good night.
Is that so? And as you leave, she literally waits until you are like 3 paces away before saying, girl.
And Annabelle turns and there is the sharpest, the most dangerous, angry look in her eyes. But then I think she catches a number of other people watching and takes a breath.
Can I offer a resolve token for one of those people to be Bertie? And he was quite close enough to have heard all that. When you turn around, you see he's
No!
You can choose to not take it, but like you can say no, it's fine.
I love that, but also I hate it. Thank you.
I'll take it. This poor boy.
I'd actually like to offer a resolve token to Annabelle. And because this is loud enough that everyone is seeing it and hearing the reaction.
Oh yeah. Like,
Oh yeah.
She got loud. Like, this is a public, like, people in the ballroom heard this.
So at that moment, Velino would look to Joseph and very loudly say, "So when do we consider that? When do we continue that little encounter we had, Joseph? You did promise me another interesting duel, didn't you?" I'm saying this very loudly.
Okay. After we resolve this token, I think that's a good place to kind of end this scene. But
Oh my goodness.
That's fine.
Charlie, do you accept that token?
What exactly? What part does it play for Annabelle? Is my question.
Distraction from what just happened with you.
Oh, okay. Such a bad idea. I love it. Yes. It's like, you know what? Let's double down on us being the worst couple in the county by both of us causing massive scenes at this household. And I think Annabelle would hear it, and in her head, it's just, my God, this could not have gone any worse. And she exits stage left. She'll even take like a servant's exit to get out of this house at this point and slip away.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I think that's where this scene ends. I think we will do reputation real quick because that's always a little bit harder to do after you've come back for a week. So we'll do reputation, and then we will wrap up this session on that literally explosive note. So yeah, go back to your family background sheets. Sorry for yelling in Regency.
I have a question. We
Yes.
can use the reputation on the it's the character role. Does that come into play? The reputation stuff.
The character role will in a second, probably because y'all, somebody gained some tags, and we're going to have to trigger some reputation conditions.
Yeah, because I was looking at the bottom of the headness one, and depending on how Bertie reacts to what just happened, that might come into play.
Yeah. I think there's definitely going to be some things that are about to happen. Because if anybody gains a tag, a reputation condition is going to be triggered. So let's figure out these tags first, and then
I think I gained a negative tag because I acted in contravention of society's conventions, because the hostess shouldn't yell things at her own party, especially not, really, really loud insulting things. Although I am a rank, so technically I did better than you. I'm allowed to yell at people. I'm a little more allowed to yell at people. It's still not a good thing. So yeah, I think I aimed a negative tag by showing my temper.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think what do we say? What you just did?
Such a noble tantrum. It was beautiful.
Oh,
yeah, that was great. I needed popcorn.
She's so
there.
righteous when wronged. Because I've already got proud as a negative, but
What about like ill-tempered?
oh yeah, she loses her temper. Like, it's not just a pride thing. She could have gone for seething, which she's also very good at, but she will lose her temper. She has a fierce temper. Ooh,
And I think in combination with that rumor that's going on that you are obviously shunning Annabelle and like everything that's going on, it's definitely one like, do not cross this woman. She will clearly destroy you if you don't play her game. Yeah. Like that's a possible takeaway of what just happened.
She was not expecting to see Annabelle, and it just kind of like, it exploded.
Yeah. All right. And I mean, do we think you gained a positive tag at all, or not? This was kind of your night, so I don't think you had to really make any sort of sacrifice.
I mean, there is a tiny part of Ifis that wants Annabelle back because they were friends. But she can't abide someone insulting her. She can't abide someone making claims against her character. And I don't know if that counts as made a sacrifice or denied your desires, because she's not even really aware of how much she wants to make how much she wants that relationship back. She's too blinded by
and it also wasn't to like uphold the superiority. Of her. So that's okay. So we'll have to trigger a negative tag condition for you. You got broke, which doesn't really make sense, but I think what makes sense here is fracture. Someone close to you is appalled by your behavior.
Yeah, that's the one I was looking at.
And I think there's a pretty obvious choice here, but I think we should leave that up to Leandro.
Yeah.
How does Bertie feel?
You said some pretty awful things about Bertie.
I just said his prospects were ruined, which they are. I didn't say them about him. I mean, that's not a value judgment on him. That's just a statement of very terrible fact, said very loudly.
Yeah.
Where everyone can hear.
Yeah.
And also, I'm yelling at the woman he thinks he loves, so that's a thing.
Yeah.
And Annabelle's busy yelling how she doesn't love him and couldn't make him happy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's that too.
And it's all because Ifis is yelling at Annabelle.
Yeah, I just kind of wonder, because you've been trying very hard to be like, oh yeah, no, I know lots and lots of people. And so like the fact that you kind of loudly admitted in a public place that his prospects are ruined kind of is maybe a betrayal of like,
it won't help
that you've given up on Bertie. Yeah.
No. He's never going to want to go to a ball again.
Yeah, even you've given up on him. And sort of like, publicly said some awful things about him. Or publicly embarrassed him, I guess.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, definitely.
His poor reputation.
Yeah.
No one will marry him.
No.
So Leandro, how are you feeling about having Birdie be the fracture?
I mean, I hate it, but I want it. So
Okay.
That's our tagline.
Wonderful. So let's just go opposite way down the line then. Velino, do you think you gained any tags? And remember, this is not just for the novel phase. This is also the epistolary phase as well. So
Okay.
anything that happened.
So it feel like it was acting in the service of like morality, the compromised his desires, because in that moment, before that escalation happened, I had actually planned to just leave. But then when it became a moment specifically of Annabella's being embarrassed in front of all these people, it became more about helping keep her standing rather than me just wanting to leave because I feel I needed. And so make a sacrifice or deny my own desires to uphold the values.
To uphold the values of your place of origin. So you think
Oh, you know what? Never mind, because that was place of origin. You're right.
Yeah.
But I probably did act in a way that would embarrass my place of origin, because they're probably like, look at the loud French man.
Yeah, I would say that.
yeah, society would be like, we just had like this big emotional blow. Why is he yelling about his own beef?
Yeah, and all of a sudden he's like he's going around, proposing duels and such.
Yep.
I imagine Laurent just somewhere over by a buffet table, just like, what's this happening? What's going?
Cecile's like,
He's a boy.
oh no, he's going to think that's what the English do.
Yeah, so I think maybe like arrogant, or like, because it's not just that you're being crass, it's like you're showing off, like, oh, this you want to be bigger and more important than the huge blowout that just happened.
Yep, I like it. Arrogant's a good one.
So you also get to trigger a reputation condition. So great offense. Your actions are offensive to someone of local importance and they mean to make it known publicly. Or fracture, someone close to you is appalled by your behavior and refuses to talk to you.
Maybe Cecile.
Ooh. Cecile refuses to talk to you? Or Cecile...
Cecile refuses to talk to me. She's probably upset about this. And it was... I was allowed to come here because she allowed me to come.
Mm-hmm.
And even if I'm embarrassing myself in proxy, she's associated with me.
Yeah.
She wrote you that very nice letter just asking you, please, be careful.
Yep.
You step one toe out of line.
Yeah.
Back on the boat with you.
Back on the boat to Frogland.
Yeah, and I think we kind of see maybe a fight between Cecile and Laurent about Cecile wanting to maybe kick him out of the house and Laurent wanting to keep him there.
Can we get your boyfriend off my couch, please?
Yeah. And so do we think positive tag, way that compromised your desires? I wonder the fact that you didn't go up, that you didn't go chase after.
Didn't go after Annabelle
when she disappeared in the dance.
That's just also
Is that-
sad. It's not positive.
Well, but the fact that you didn't do it is,
Oh,
but that you wanted to is maybe because that was the correct thing to do.
that makes
And
Yeah,
sense.
that's
this
why
is
you
how.
wanted to leave, right?
Yeah, this is how
Yeah.
society sees you. That's where the whole reputation comes from. So positively, what you did was the right thing, not to chase
Yes.
after her.
Yeah.
Steadfast, I guess. I don't know.
Maybe polite.
Okay.
Like, it shows that you are that you're, or like adapting, like that you're adapting to society.
I like adapting. Like I'm learning.
And so you get to trigger another connection, and I have an idea for an unexpected connection. A famous, wealthy, or aristocratic connection you made abroad lives in town. Create them as a connection. While this condition is active, you remain their favorite. And I'd like to offer you the resolve token from someone important. One of the king's favorites is coming to town. That perhaps there is a French woman.
I just realized it would be a
member of
queen's
royalty.
favorite, probably. If this was
Well,
a
it could be the king
matriarchal
or the queen's
society.
favorite. Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that I think a French woman has a member of French nobility or royalty has come to town.
Yeah. What if she likes me?
Either, yeah, she likes you or is a friend or something. But I think that might be kind of a fun. Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. And do you want the condition to be that she is like romantically interested in you, or
Yes,
should we leave that
because
out?
I think it will make for potential interesting drama with Annabelle when Annabelle realized that I gave up high-class French nobility for her instead.
Hey,
Yeah.
and this gives me an option to marry you off to someone.
Stop.
As per
Oh
the-
yeah, and by the way, for chat, we have decided that history is like sort of important, but not really if it's going to make story interesting. So,
Yeah.
or perhaps
Picking and choosing.
because the Napoleonic Wars happened, so maybe she's like a refugee noble or something. She's come to
like it.
escape Napoleon. All right, so we will make her as a connection for you next week.
I'm excited.
French noble.
French connection. Hey.
A French connection, yes. Yeah. All right. This is Annabelle. Annabelle, what tags did you? I think you definitely
I got two negative tags.
Yeah, you publicly showed emotion.
Yup.
You're terrible in
And
England. Never do
Also,
that.
in just going to the ball, acted in contravention of society's conventions.
Mm-hmm. So I was looking at the rules, and I don't think there are any rules about only creating one reputation or one tag at a time. So it's kind of up to us if we want to just have one negative, like one tag per thing, or if we are okay.
The only positive tag I could kind of wangle that I did was Annabelle dancing with Bertie, but it was kind of thrown out the window by the time the scene ended. Because she didn't particularly want to dance with Bertie, but it was like the right thing to do.
I think you definitely
polite.
did that. Yeah, I think it was definitely like good of you to
be a
to
decent
dance with
human
him.
being and not just
Yeah.
ignore that he existed to try and make sure he
So-
was kind of having a good night and didn't end up
Yeah.
not dancing with anyone.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that definitely counts. But I think the question is, do we want to give Charlie 2 negative reputation tags? Or should we just stick with one?
Her reputation's already in tatters.
Yeah, either way, she's going to trigger some reputation conditions. But
What if I proposed that positive cancelled out one of the negatives, so it just ends up being one negative as a kind of a trade-off?
That's fair. Yeah, this is just, and this is like a purely mechanical thing that we don't really have the rules for, so it's up to us if we feel, kind of comfortable. It's up to our interpretation. So I guess your negative tag, it has specifically to deal with your publicly displaying strong emotions, or do we think the greater one is you entering the ball, like, because you weren't invited,
defying
but, like,
the countess?
No, but Rebecca brought her.
Yeah, you were there as her guest. So
if you ignore the personal things, like, she didn't do anything societally wrong, but given how everyone knew that she wasn't wanted there, it was kind of like, it was almost more of a snub to turn up.
Showing up was a massive slap in the face to the countess, no matter what her intentions were.
Yeah. But technically, she came with someone who was invited.
She found a way around the rule, right?
I think yelling was probably worse. Especially yelling at someone whose rank is so much higher up than your own. Because at the time, the peerage were pretty much all related to royalty. So, like, oh shit.
Yeah, definitely. So maybe, like, there's so many good words for like the anger, when anger is like dangerous and kind of scary.
Defiant.
I can't think of. Yeah, maybe defiant, or
I think defiant is a good one, because she's already reckless. We already know that she's got that tag, and I think, like, I don't think people would believe she's outright angry. Like, that's not her overall disposition based on the actions of the night, but it's that dangerous side where it's like explosive.
Maybe like dangerous anger.
Rage.
Could do violent temper almost, because maybe
violent temper.
Like, the belief could almost be she essentially verbally backhanded the countess at least twice.
Hard-headed for sure.
And there was that threat that she laid at the countess of "don't call me girl again," which the implication was, I will kick you around this room if you do it again. Which she didn't follow through on.
I was so hoping you were going to throw down the glove.
Oh, she was so tempted. But then she saw Bertie, and then I think she saw Veleno, and then she heard Veleno, and she was like, just leave. Just go.
I mean, we do have an epistolary phase coming up immediately next session. So if we want to challenge people to duels, that can happen. So yeah, violent temper. And then your positive tag is, I think, maybe like, I almost want to say charitable, which is just like such a dunk on poor Birdie. But I think it's how it would be seen, right? Like,
either that or like
merciful. Yeah, maybe like maybe merciful seems a little.
Or again, like Veleno, it was kind of polite, right? But then that doesn't work with everything else that went down.
Yeah, I think maybe kind. Because, like, you were also, I mean, people were definitely gossiping about this. You also kind of said that you had turned Albert down because you were worrying about his happiness.
What about, brave isn't quite the right word, but it's that sort of thing, right, where she was like, she was facing the fact that everyone was going to be looking at them and doing the right thing. We can settle on one, but we'll put something in.
Yeah.
Can stew on it.
Like composed, maybe. Who knows?
Gallant.
If Pat has a suggestion, please throw one. Ooh, gallant.
Just let us know.
Gallant works. Because I think as well, like with most of society, it's almost like you'd be seen as almost like a soft touch, because happiness isn't what marriage is for. That's like, that's a very kind of a soft idea. So most people would kind of think, oh, bless you, you idiot, kind of thing. And the slight of breaking off an engagement, like even if you do it for the best reasons, I think gallant works because it's like, oh, you're being really sweet, but also kind of stupid. And I think gallant kind of sums that up. It's like, oh, you know, the need to do the right thing, damn the consequences. Is I like gallant. I think that works.
Yeah.
All right.
So your reputation conditions is so we got the -1 of career peril. Your career is thrown into doubt and you are temporarily demoted or suspended, or fracture. Someone close to you is appalled by your behavior and refuses to talk to you. I think both of these could fit.
I think it would be really interesting if someone at this event was, you know, from the military and saw this behavior and was like, we can't have our mages going around behaving this way in dress uniform.
Especially because you know I have friends in the military.
Yeah.
And, you know, the accusations of running away to France and, you know, it wasn't a good look. And it drew attention towards things that people maybe wouldn't want attention on.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So we can decide what that means going on. And perhaps I'll write a letter at the beginning of next session to that effect. But yeah. And conversely, your positive reputation tag is either patronage, an important person takes interest in furthering your career, or a second pair of hands, your junior arrives, create them as a connection. While this condition is active, they are ready to assist you in all appropriate manners.
I like the idea of it being a junior, someone who had been there with Annabelle in the war, someone who maybe understands the situation. She hasn't really got any soldiers around her. It's a lot of, you know, lords and ladies kind of situation. So I think that would be nice. And yeah, it's like once more into the breach together.
All right. So we will create that connection.
Perhaps that's even the person that brings the letter.
Yeah.
And they're like, I'm real sorry.
Yeah.
But
yeah, like you've had, now you have a babysitter, like not only from your family, but also from your job.
And maybe because they are like a connection, it's like they wangled themselves into that position so that they could go and help Annabelle out.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
still a bearer
absolutely.
of bad news.
Yeah. Like they were able to like argue something slightly better than the punishment you would have gotten. But okay, I love that. And Joseph York.
Yeah, he had a low-key night.
He did.
Compared to everyone else. I don't think because we did cut that scene short, but we ended the novel chapter. I don't know if he rose to Veleno suddenly getting for a duel. I don't know if he noticed that like suddenly Veleno started yelling as soon as the whole fight with
I love
Annabelle.
that. Let's just say that happened.
Yeah. But yeah, he came in. He was invited. He made kind of amends with Lady Ifis. He did all right. He acted in obedience to society's conventions, but I don't know if there was considerable hardship. I guess there was because he kind of came crawling back to Lady Ifis, I suppose, and it's like, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
I
but,
would say that counts.
They all do.
And
eventually.
and remember, this also happened in the letter, in the, like, of stuff that happens in the letter. So I'm wondering if the letter that you sent to Lady Ifis also was maybe uncouth, low class, or whatever.
Yeah, it definitely was. But I feel like, yeah, the bit in the novel was making up for that letter. I mean, if everyone is gonna get both, I might as well.
Yeah. just as a reminder for next week, you can use these tags, and then when at this point, if somebody uses one of these tags as a resolve token, then the reputation condition will go away.
My birdie will talk to me again.
Yeah. If you use one of, for example, like your vindictive or proud or fierce temper, then to make the story happen, then yeah, Birdie will talk to you again.
I have a goal. I'm way too invested in this connection.
Aww.
Birdie.
I would like for it to have a happy ending by the end of all this.
Yeah. Don't worry, I'm working on it.
So so I think a positive tag, or what
I think
what are
both.
you thinking for positive?
Yeah, I think
negative?
both for sure. Because I think Lady Ifis would not be shy if Joseph York sent her a letter that's just him being incredibly rude. So I think for a negative, boorish, probably something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And
I guess that's true that letter wasn't public unless Lady Ifis made it public.
Oh.
You did kind of discuss it semi-publicly, though.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that works.
Yeah, you wouldn't publish a letter, but you probably like talk about it, like, oh, that Joseph York, he's.
Yeah.
And here's this letter from Caroline wanting to marry him, the poor tit.
Yeah, she wouldn't have said anything overtly like what he said in the letter or any of that. But she would have, made it known that he'd been rather rude to her, and when she was trying so hard to get him a good match, and so people would have known that she was displeased because of something he said to her, but they wouldn't know if it was verbal or epistolary. Is that a word?
Mm-hmm.
Should be.
Yeah.
Wonderful. All right.
So boorish for sure.
Yeah.
And for positive, penitent or repentant or
I like
apologetic.
those.
Yeah.
Groveling. All good words.
Well, you notice he didn't actually say I'm sorry. He just said, it just happened.
Yeah, but she just hears it anyway.
From his tone, for sure.
Yeah, and to be fair, she hears
what she wants to hear.
She has a soft spot for Joseph. She likes to, keep him in her pocket.
Of course, she didn't hear the monologue. That basically was So I guess I get reputation conditions as well. Hoorah.
Yeah, so fracture or revenge. A connection turns against you and spreads rumors and malice behind your back, which doesn't really make sense. So
honestly, either of them doesn't really suit Carolyn. I didn't expect them to be kind of semi-on sync with each other by the end of this session. I think I'll create a connection.
Yeah, we'll create a connection for you to have.
Yeah,
some bad things happen.
Yeah, I did float like in session 0 of creating his big sis who's taken over the business.
Yeah, absolutely.
You would definitely be invited to the party.
And then your positive is in closest confidence. Choose one connection until this boon is erased. This connection is devoted to you and believes you can do no wrong. Or social capital, when you offer connections, relationship advice, and confidence that appears reasonable, they will follow it.
I want to take the latter. I think Caroline, I don't think, Caroline has been chasing Joseph, but I don't think it's out of devotion. I'll take the latter. If only I can give Bertie advice, but I can't.
I mean, you could. There's no reason to say that you don't know Bertie.
You probably know Bertie.
There's a whole epistolary phase that you can play with.
So funny. Yeah, I'll think about it. But yeah, I'll take the latter condition.
Wonderful. All right. So that is the end of this session. So we'll come back next week with epistolary phases and also our upkeep phase.
A request, Lauren.
Yes.
Because the only person who we didn't get a monologue from was Beleno.
Yeah. So
actually, we had a tiny bit of the thinking.
We're gonna take care of that in the upkeep phase. It's one of the it's one of the things of the upkeep phase is that anybody who hasn't monologued gets to monologue, and that's how we kind of deal with the fact that we have an odd number of people. So we will definitely get Velino's monologue.
All the monologues
next session.
Awesome.
For sure. We got to have something to look forward to.
So much to look forward to.
So much.
Yeah, so we will kind of wrap this up with this first cycle up, and then I guess wrap the story up, go into our last cycle next week. So yeah, looking forward to everything.
So be here next week. It's Saturday the 18th at 3 p.m. Eastern, when we will be live with the second and final part of this Good Society. I can speak. Society 2-shot. Let's go around, say where we can find you on the internet, and what you're looking forward to about the second part of this. And let's begin with the wonderful Gabe James Games.
Hi, I'm Gabe, Game James Games. You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, pretty much anywhere on the internet. I am most looking forward to... I actually like that I didn't do a monologue earlier, because I know exactly what it's going to be. And Charlie, I'm going to make you feel things, and I'm excited for it.
You monster, make me feel things.
Yeah.
And speaking of people who make me feel things, Shakes.
Best segue. I am Shakespeare. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Shakespeare. It's the same handle everywhere. I'm so happy this went so well. I'm so excited. I got to do my shouty voice. I love doing my shouty voice. I may have woken my mother. But yeah, so I really love this session. I think one of the things has to be that confrontation. That was just so many feelings, and it just, it felt so Lady Catherine de Bourgh. I loved it so much. I loved all of the little interactions. I really loved just watching Joseph squirm. That was so satisfying. She just stood there and was like, yes, apologize to me. Go on, dance, little man, dance. And I love seeing everyone's like different reactions to her, because obviously, like, being a countess, she's known to everyone, so it's really interesting to see the relationships develop, as you know, on top of that weird noblesse oblige peerage thing, which is why I love the peerage. It's so much fun to play. But yeah, so amazing. I can't wait for next week. It's going to be so great, and I will pass it on.
Sorry, where can we find you on the internet before we drop down to Leandro? Anything you'd like to plug?
Nothing I can think of right now. I'm sorry, it's quite late and my brain doesn't work. Anything I am doing will be all over my Twitter, which is Shakespeare.
Awesome. Alejandro! The end of your first ever session on Encounter Roleplay, but not your first ever session of Good Society.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me. That was a lot of fun. Well, fun in a sense. It was all the drama. Oh my god, that was quite a bit. Thanks very much for having me. That was delightful. Yeah, I guess you can find me on Twitter. That's my handle there. I don't do much, just play a lot of games. I guess, actually, while I'm here, I might as well plug on here, if you don't mind. Me and my friends did an actual play podcast, short form of a game called Fall of Magic by Ross Kalman. It's about it's about going on an adventure to find the source of magic as magic is dying. It's fun and cute and emotional, and it's called Flight of Magic. Check that wherever. But yeah, thanks very much for having me. This has been what I'm looking forward to the most is Belano should like just save everyone with his charm and his devotion to finding true love. I think everyone could learn a thing or two from his unwavering confidence. I hope he'll set things right. I'm counting on him. Not too much pressure, I hope, on Gabe. But yeah, again, thanks very much. This has been so much fun.
And our facilitator, Lauren.
Hello. My name is Lauren. I am JL_nice girl on Twitter. I am Starving Soubrette on Twitch and YouTube. I stream twice a week. I stream 1 day a week solo tabletop RPGs in anthology campaigns, and then on I haven't quite decided what day yet. Check my Twitter for that schedule. But then I also stream Nancy Drew computer games, which is a big difference, I know, but it works. And I also will be on other places playing other games. So definitely check my Twitter for all of those announcements coming soon. This was such a great session. I really love facilitating because I guess to just kind of like watch all of this happen and then just like kind of throw like little extra bits of drama in here. But I think what I'm most looking forward to is all of the connections we're going to create next session, because that means I get to play and I get to maybe use some shouty voices and cause some wonderful things. So yeah, that's definitely what I'm most looking forward to.
Well, thank you all so much for being here. We're going to go and raid Call of Cthulhu. It is Adam's birthday stream. He is another man who likes using a shouty voice. Big thank you to the cast and crew. We will see you next on Encounter Roleplay at 5 p.m. Eastern on Friday when we play some more Judge Dredd and the Worlds of 2000 AD, because we are the law and we are back on the block. But until then, try not to roll too many net ones, because we want to be there shouting in Regency when you do. Good night, everybody. Take care.
Huzzah!